This podcast may contain strong language and adult themes. Hello there, and welcome back to another edition of Voice Notes from Connor. This is the penultimate episode of Series 1. We're almost there. We've got one more episode after this one. And of course, this is the podcast where I'm listening to old voice memos and notes from my past self and responding as my present self with some guests along the way. In episode 8, it was just me and my past self. This episode will also be me and my past self, whereas the final episode of Series 1 will feature some guests that haven't featured yet as well, so that's exciting. So we've got 2 voice notes from my past self today, so when Evan is ready, we're going to take it away. I don't care what your music taste is, what kind of genres you like or whatever. Insomnia by Faithless is an absolute masterpiece. Incredible. The whole vibe of it, the beat of it, and then how it kicks in. When that beat drops, I can't get no sleep, and it kicks in. You will struggle to find, of any genre, a better drop than that, and just a better overall audio experience. Yes, it definitely. Sonic experience is what Insomnia is. And I promised... I've said it a couple of times in episodes in the introductions, a random assortment of culture, life, politics, musings, opinions. If you listen to episode 8, we got very deep and introspective about my identity and all that kind of stuff. It's quite an honest episode about my past. And now we're talking about club bangers. So there we go. That's the random assortment. It's how my brain works as well. That's like an insight into my neurodivergent, neurospicy brain that's here, there and everywhere all at once. So I recorded that a while ago, actually, and wondered it when I recorded it. I was thinking then of this moment now of me recording this episode. Some of which I just would record completely spontaneously, walking down the street. Other times, I'm like, oh, that's a thought. Let me record that for the podcast in the future, in my future self. This one I actually remember recording and thinking, I wonder what I will think in so many months' time, because at that point, when I was listening to it, I can't remember now, maybe March, when I recorded that, and we're currently recording this episode in late July, being like, oh my God, this song is like mind-blowing. It's so good. Will I keep that up? Will I still think that in a few months' time? Was it just a fad, basically? And I mentioned Insomnia in a past episode when I was talking about my parents, and I think it was, if I remember correctly, Evan, it was the episode where you were a guest. And you were talking about songs that you kind of got fed up of over time and that you're tired of. And I said when I was younger, my parents, who, you know, they were young parents, they were in their 20s, early 30s when I was, say, like 10 or 11. And they used to play it a lot because they used to still like going out, like, you know, club music, house music, dance music. And they used to play it, particularly if they'd had a drink. And they'd be like, oh, put Insomnia on. And I'd be like, oh, God, not Insomnia again. Please leave me alone. It's so cringy. Like, I don't know why. I also don't know why we get that a lot. Like, when our parents really enjoy something, we're like, oh, like, that's just so cringe. Like, I don't like, God, you're just annoying. That's how I felt when I was younger with it. It was just like, oh, for God's sake. Or like, almost their passion for the song was like, oh, whatever. And I heard it so many times. And then I'd heard it a couple of times when I used to go out. So I used to club and party a lot more in my late teens and early 20s. So I don't go out as much anymore. I like a drink in a pub, drink in a bar and stuff, drink at home, but don't really go out and burn the midnight oil anymore and stay up till 4 a.m. or whatever. I didn't actually hear it very often, and now I'm gutted. Now I feel like I want to go out. I want to go to one of those day raves or day parties that are like 3 till 9. I know Vicky McClure does some of them, and like obviously it's caught on now as a thing, and more companies are doing them. And I really want to go to one of those and say, will you please put Insomnia on? Because normally they're over 30s.
apparently they check ID, so you actually have to be over 30, which I think is good, because we don't want stinking 20-year-olds in the day rave when it's for over 30s. We want all the over 30s there. They go fucking wild for a bit of Insomnia. It's guaranteed. I just think it's such a well-produced song. I think the ebbs and flows of it are... My brain said perfect. I said in previous episodes my brain tends to be quite dramatic. I don't know if perfect, but excellent, outstanding I'll go for. Like at the start, like the spoken... It's almost like spoken word poetry, isn't it? Like it's spoken, like the spoken, and then you get the first drop, which I said to Evan earlier, actually, I think is like good enough in itself. That first bit has like a nice rhythm to it, and you're like, yeah, getting into this is a good... I was going to say... really cringe, this is a good tune. Or as my dad would say, what a record. He says it all the time, everything. He put it, what a record this is. And I'm like, why do you keep saying record all the time? Why can't you just say, like, you're 51, man. You can say, what a great song. But anyway, what a tune. So that in itself is great. And then you go into like I can't really know where he's doing more of the spoken word poetry. He's tearing off tights with his teeth, making excess mess in darkness, all that kind of stuff. And it does get quite dark, and you feel that like mood. I remember the music video as well, and seeing that when I was younger and feeling a bit creepy. And then when you go in, I'm doing it. I'm literally, this is the power of ADHD, that you can like be speaking and playing a song in your head at the same time. Like I'm playing it in my head now, and then when it like drops, it's just like, oh my God, what I would give to like be, I don't know, early 20s in the 1990s, to be in Ibiza or somewhere else like that, you know, one of those resorts, even dreary Leicester in a nightclub. Hearing it would just be absolutely euphoric. Like that drop. I mean, I think the proper version of it is about 6.5 minutes, so you get that classic dance thing where everything's drawn out a little bit. But when, you know, people are out and they're on E or MDMA or they're absolutely pissed or whatever, 6 minutes feels like 30 seconds. But when you're sober and you're listening to it, you're like, can we get on with it now? Can we get to the drop? So that's kind of like that's like the clubby version. I often listen to the radio edit version, so the shorter version. But when I go for a run and that song comes on, it gets me going. But I'm also going to recommend, bear with, some other dance songs as well. That if you're already into dance and house and all that kind of stuff, you probably know most of these. But listening to Insomnia back in like March, that then got me going about like more like your 90s, your noughties dance tracks, and like some of them are so good, especially when you've not heard them in a long time. And if you haven't heard some of these, I would seek them out. Dario G, Sunshine. Oh my Lord, what a song. And so euphoric and like uplifting. I went out for drinks, actually. It was my birthday, and we went out for drinks with, you've heard Benifer, as I call him sometimes. So Benifer came out with his partner Grace, and Bridget was there, my family were there, and we were talking about all this stuff, and like Mum was saying, you know, listen to these different types of music, like how you've got like disco house, deep house, and all this kind of stuff, funk, etc. And I was like, this song I've been listening to recently, I've rediscovered it, it's so good, because it's Sunshine, it's spelled Sunchime. So I'm going Sunchime. Dario G Sunchime. And they're going Sunchime. I started playing it, they were like Sunchime. And I was like, I literally would never have said Sunshine seeing that. But Sunchime by Dario G is so good, so uplifting. Go and listen to Go All Night by Gorgon City featuring Jennifer Hudson. Oh Lord, the drop in that is so good. One that I rediscovered recently, which actually I think is objectively quite a shit song, but a great dance song when you're out. So when I first started going out, when I was 18, 19, so we're talking 2012, 2013, was Winter Gordon's Dirty Talk, which is a very, very sexual song. But when you're out, it's just got that like that rhythm and that beat to it where it just makes it easy to dance. Because when I first started going out, actually, I'll say with the first time on my 18th birthday, a group of us, I think it was about 10 of us, went for a meal, and then they brought a blow-up doll with them, so that was fun in the restaurant. And then we went out for obviously drinks after, and we went clubbing and stuff. And I we'd had house parties at that point. You know, we'd got pissed on cider at 15 or whatever, or 16 at someone's house, and we'd done all that kind of stuff most British teenagers do. Maybe not Gen Z these days. I talked about that in a past episode, and alcohol and stuff. But anyway, and yeah, so we went into, it was Yates's. So some of you across the UK, specifically, you might still have a Yates's in your town or your city. We don't have a Yates's anymore in Leicester, but it was a really good club bar, hybrid, really, a bit like a walkabout. And went in, I was like, I don't think I'm going to dance. Like, I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm just going to, we'll just sit at a table, we'll listen to the music, we'll enjoy the music, and we'll have a few drinks. And Starships by Nicki Minaj came on, which is also an objectively shit song, which she actually now, she thinks that's her worst song, basically. That was her most commercial song. It was just, you know, I don't know what word she used, but she thought it was basically her worst song. And that came on, and I was like, my body's moving. And then suddenly it was like, my body's moving, and I'm up on the dance floor. And then I remember when Dirty Talk came on, I was like, I've never heard this song before, but I am dancing. Embarrassingly back then, actually, I used to be a jumper. So I quite liked to jump up and down. You know, it was almost like a form of stimming, now I think about it, actually, like with the music. like sometimes, I remember there's actually one time at the bar I went to get, so my thing was I used to always get a shot of Sambuca and a Desperado. So we're going in hard. If I had 3 of them now, 3 shots, 3 Desperados, I would be quite pissed, in a good way, but yeah, I'd be quite pissed. But back then I was just on it. Shot and a drink every single time. And I remember a song coming on, I think it was Where Have You Been by Rihanna, which is also quite different for her, really, within her discography. That, you know, it's more overtly dancey and for the club. And that came on, and I was like, I'm waiting for my drink, but I really, really want to dance. I really, really want to dance. And I remember just like jumping, coming down, and one of my friends coming over like, you do need to calm down, because this is giving like you're absolutely off your tits on some Class A drugs. And I was not, but I was enjoying it a lot. But yeah, so I wouldn't blame you if you judged me if you listened to Dirty Talk and thought it was an absolute crap song, but I enjoy it. For the gays and the girlies in particular, you need to, the gays will be listening to this all the time, I imagine, but Euphoria by Loreen. Oh, Eurovision winner in, oh, come on, I'm going to let the side down here, 2013, off the top of my head. The heterosexual masses are not so clued up on this song, so every time I play it for them, they're like, this song is camp, dramatic, dancey, great drop. Oh, so good. So you definitely give Euphoria by Loreen a go if you haven't. And one that I think is quite underrated, Tears, featuring Louisa Johnson and Clean Bandits. We're going very 2010s here, but that is also a really good song. She, great vocalist, one of the last good winners, really, of the X Factor, who had a bit of a career. And that song, it has that classic structure and setup that a lot of dance or house songs have, where we're going into like we start, then there's a bit of a drop, it's faster, and then we'll have that bridge, if you like, where it's slower, and then we'll go fast again. And that has one of the best examples of that in that song. So that was Tears by Clean Bandit featuring Louisa Johnson. I do enjoy Super Styling by Groove Armada. I recently spoke to a colleague who likes dance music, and she was like, too slow. Everything you're saying is too slow, because she likes hard, like really hardcore dance, like raves people will go to when they're on drugs and they're really going for it. And I'm like, this is too fast. I want like not a 2-step. A 2-step's okay, but like just a bit like I like kind of like that rhythm that's quite fast. I don't know what there's probably a certain like beats per minute to them that I don't technically know. But there's a certain rhythm to them that I quite enjoy. It's quite easy to dance to, especially if there's good lyrics as well, because I do enjoy a performance. So I do enjoy the singing and dancing at the same time, even though I can't really sing very well. Then you've got your early naughty stuff like My by Armand van Helden, Destination Calabria, I want to say, by Alex Gaudino. Didn't actually know the artist until right now. It's in my playlist. And I do also enjoy a bit of Peggy Gou. So if you've not listened to much of Peggy Gou, I would go and seek her work out. To conclude this part of the episode, I would also highly recommend, which is a newer song, which is The One by Chloe Collette and Luke Alessi. And that is one of the best remixes I've heard in a long time. It slaps. It's a perfect dance disco hybrid, which is a remix of a Jocelyn Brown song, which is... I almost sang then. The one where she sings, "You make me feel so real, you are the one." I can't think of what that song's actually called now. That's going to bother me. Is it not? It's not also called The One. But yeah, it's a really, really good remix. Somebody Else's Guy. Yeah, so it's a remix of Jocelyn Brown's Somebody Else's Guy. Oh, that one slaps. So yeah, there's some... last one, actually. Sorry. Don't Give Up by Blinky also has a really hard drop that's really good. Not hard in like a Martin Garrix or like a really like electronic... I don't know what the genre that would be called, that more hardcore dance. Yeah, like, you could say it's chasing status as well with things like, like drum and bass where it's really fast. So it's not one of those drops, but it's very satisfying. But I do think Insomnia has the best drop of all time. It's in my top 10 list of films. Top 10, that's because I talk about films most of the time. Top 10 songs of all time. I just think it's just so good how it's produced, the ebbs and flows of it, the drop. It's brilliant. So if you haven't listened to it for a long time, please go and listen to it with headphones on, loud. And if you've never listened to it before, I'm really fucking jealous because you're going to have a great time. So there we go. Right, let's move on to... we've got 2 voice notes in this episode, so let's listen to the next one.
I was thinking on the drive home from Leeds today about the next gen or new gen artist, music artist that is, and how Chapel Roan, Chappelle Rowan, 100% new gen, next gen, whatever you want to call it. I don't want to say Gen Z, so I'm going to go with new/next gen. I think I'll stick with new gen for the rest of this. Chappelle Rowan, next gen, Lady Gaga, 100%. I'm not saying she's dethroning the Queen. However, next gen Lady Gaga. Sabrina Carpenter for me actually feels, even though I really like Sabrina Carpenter, she's giving next gen Taylor Swift. Even though Taylor Swift is obviously still incredibly popular, but she has been around since about 2009. Sabrina's mainly become more prolific and known in the last, 2 or 3 years? Dua Lipa. New gen. Kylie Minogue. The disco vibes. I'm feeling it.
I forgot I said that.
Ariana Grande. Next gen Mariah Carey. I'm going to keep thinking about this.
Oh, okay, yeah. Right, so the Swifties are going to come for me, aren't they? On TikTok or YouTube or maybe even attack us via email. Yes. So yeah, saying that Sabrina Carpenter is new gen Taylor Swift, which I don't know if I agree with now as my present self right now. My past self, I'm not quite sure. I think that was a bit of a reach there to say that, because Taylor Swift is still so popular, and I suppose really is part of that slightly newer gen wave still. But then again, I suppose she was gaining quite a lot of popularity around the same time as Lady Gaga. And to me, Chapel Roan really feels like the next iteration of that kind of artist, right? So you had Madonna, who still is, people love Madonna, another gays and girlies artist, really. Yes, okay, some straight men or men, whatever, will like Madonna, that's fine. But we know that there's something like Hung Up, for example. Oh, so good. And also, just take a second on Hung Up, because I think it's a fantastic song, but also to rework the intro to Gimme 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 by ABBA, which I also think is one of the best songs of all time. To use that, to rework it in this kind of postmodern, playful way, a bit like how Dua Lipa, did very similar with her album Future Nostalgia, and then to make such an iconic sound her own shows her level of skill and talent and skill and talent, I suppose. I think actually I saw earlier that holds some kind of record, Hung Up, actually. Like it was number 1 in 42 countries at the same time or something, which is like a record. But yeah, so you had Madonna, obviously extremely popular in the 80s, 90s, dwindling in the late 90s, early noughties, if I remember correctly, or if my knowledge is correct. and then picked up, I suppose. You had, what was it called? Fricky 4 seconds, 7 seconds? The one with Justin Timberlake, where it was like, do, 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 do. What was that song called? We've only got 4 minutes to save the world. I think it was 4 minutes, something like that. Anyway, I don't know what the Fricky was earlier either, but I'm keeping that in. I was quite tempted to say to Evan, let's cut that out, but we're going to keep that in. I don't know what the Fricky was, but but yeah, no, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think it was 4 minutes. We only got 4 minutes to save the world with Justin Timberlake, and then also Hung Up, and that revived her career a bit. And then you had Lady Gaga come along, and I remember when Lady Gaga came along. Oh, God, it was so exciting. I remember sitting with my ex at her house when we were about 15 or 16, and back then we used to watch music video channels, which not many people do these days, but back then we did. And it was Just Dance came on. And my ex said she was into music, and she wasn't one of these people that I talked about in a previous episode that, was only into music would be rock. She really did like a huge spectrum of music and would tend to be quite like forward thinking and ahead. So she had already for weeks been like, oh, Lady Gaga, she's great. Oh, I like her. She's going to be a thing. And me, they're like, who is this person? I'm not sure. And then when Bad Romance came out, I remember me and my mum, we absolutely frigging loved that song. It's so, so good. And then it just felt like we had this new Madonna. Even though she's herself, I don't think we just need to... Like, Lady Gaga obviously has her own reputation and is separate from that. And then it feels like... So we had, like, Madonna, Lady Gaga, now Chapel Roan. So Chapel Roan playing around with, like, gender and sexuality, like Lady Gaga obviously was doing as well, Madonna as well. And yes, some of Chapel Roan's songs, particularly, obviously from the album The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess, I would say, off the top of my head, I'm just going to the album now, actually. Red Wine Supernova. I don't know if that's supposed to have something, Champagne Supernova. I don't know if it's like, as when you listen to it, it's not like Champagne Supernova at all, and there's no nod to it. I just wondered if that was like a subtle or a playful nod to Champagne Supernova, calling it Red Wine Supernova, and also it having the queer aspect to it as well. Whereas Oasis, for instance, with Champagne Supernova was like decidedly masculine and heterosexual, or just Oasis in general, I mean. But Red Wine Supernova, so good. What a banger. As well as Super Graphic Ultra Modern Girl as well is, if you've not heard that, please go and listen to it. Proper banger. You can imagine Lady Gaga releasing that kind of song in like 2011, 2012. I almost started playing one then. I just stopped it in time. Pink Pony Club. Like those three, actually. So Ben and I recently, and Ross, one of my colleagues, I actually started this but couldn't finish it. I said, let's do a top 10 songs of the decade so far. We're halfway through the decade. Let's think about what are the 10 best songs in our opinion. So we don't have to be really objective here. We can be subjective. Ross did his list, Ben did his list, and this was months ago and I'm still deciding. And Red Wine Supernova, Super Graphic Ultra Modern, you've also got Good Luck Babe and Pink Pony Club. I was like, all four could make my top 10, but I've got to try and pick one. But yeah, I think she feels like a Gen Z Lady Gaga, basically, even though she's got her own credits, in her own right. The Dua Lipa and Kylie, I totally forgot about that, and I'm like, yes, past self. I feel like that was a good shout, actually, because Kylie, of course, lots of dance, camp, fun, disco music, and Dua Lipa, not literally always, but her main thing is that vibe. It's a gays and girlies vibe. That's what it was like at the concerts, obviously, that I've been to, which I mentioned in a previous episode. And also, obviously, doing Dance the Night with Barbie, which still fascinates me that they did the song after the dance routine in the film. So in the film, they did that full routine on rollerblades with the clapping and everything, and then after, Dua Lipa and Mark Ronson sat down and made the song to fit the dancing, which is quite interesting to see how that kind of thing works. But that in itself, her being in the Barbie film, that song is such a great disco hawk back kind of disco vibe. So yeah, I think if we were going to say Dua Lipa is any as a new gen version, I think I'd go Kylie, although I'd be interested to hear if you think that she's a new gen version of somebody else. Ariana Grande, I mean, Mariah, I mean, I'm not saying anything new there. I mean, that's been said thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of times by people across the globe, that kind of the singing style, the falsetto, the range, generally having what I would describe as not musically technical at all, a lighter tone to her voice rather than like a deeper tone that someone like Whitney Houston had. It's very similar across Ariana Grande and Mariah, so I feel like that all these queens, Kylie, Madonna, Mariah, Lady Gaga, I wouldn't say they've been succeeded by these, but we can see some parallels perhaps in their career, their style of music, how their career's going, how they're received, etc., the genres of music that they make. Charlie XCX is quite an interesting one. I don't know if I would say. My brain then said Britney. So my brain said a new gen version of Britney, which I think actually does fit quite well, particularly post-head shave Britney. And actually that's quite an interesting career trajectory for someone like, for both of them, even though Charli XCX, as far as I know, didn't have, bless her, a breakdown and shave her head and all the other stuff that happened. But going from, obviously, Britney in the late 90s, which is terrible, really, being 16, and then them changing her voice, a porn director directing the music video for Hit Me One More Time in the schoolgirl outfits is just so gross now we look back. But then her music changing with like Gimme More and stuff and becoming more like overtly dancey. Charli XCX did something similar, right? So if you think of Boom Clap, you wouldn't. I don't know. It feels so weird now to think that Charli XCX did Boom Clap, and also which is a great song. Was it Fancy? If I remember correctly, with Iggy Azalea. Yes, that feels so different to me now than Brat. Obviously, these artists is what they often have to do, right? They've got to reinvent themselves, change their vibe, but sometimes change their vibe. Like Beyonce did with Renaissance, which I think was a masterpiece, and which that came at the right time for her career to mix it up and to deal more with house and dance and stuff. But yeah, no, I think maybe Charli XCX would be a new gen Britney. I mean, I don't really think we have to. It's not necessary that we sit around doing this activity because they're their own artists in their own right. But I find it quite fun actually. So if you've got any suggestions of modern artists that are the next gen, maybe even we've moved on from Harry Styles already, because a lot of people are saying Benson Boone gives like new gen Harry Styles, which I don't. Evan's shaking his head, which I also don't agree with. I had some drinks with my family the other week and I was playing. So my parents, as I mentioned, they're quite young. So I'm 31, my dad's 52, mum's 49. They do still like to listen to new music. So when they come to my house and we have a catch up and drinks and stuff, I will sometimes play. I have a playlist, new stuff, brackets constantly updated. And I'll play that so then they'll be like, oh yeah, I've heard this on the radio. Or, oh no, I've not heard this, but I like it or whatever. And I played... oh God, what was it? I can't remember the title. It's a Benson Boone song, and it's the one that I actually think is a terrible song, but for some reason I really enjoy it, which is Mr. Electric Blue, which is like really like traditionally masculine. So firstly, it sounds like it should be in a Top Gun film. Secondly, it's very like pro-American, giving a bit right-wing vibes, very like this Mr. Electric Blue who will punch you in the face if you mess with him, and who's strong and he's a hard-working American. So ideologically, I'm listening to it thinking, what the hell, in 2025, why are you singing this song? But then actually I really enjoy it at the same time, like the beat and like the rhythm of it and stuff. I'm there like, Mr. Electric, like singing along every time, and I put it on and my dad went, oh, I like this. And I said about the Top Gun thing, and he was like, yes, I agree. This does sound like it should be in a Top Gun film. And then he was like, this is Harry Styles. I was like, no. How dare you? No, it's not Mr. Styles. It's Mr. Boone. But no, maybe not. Maybe it's too soon to say there's the next gen or a new gen Harry Styles. But yeah, I'd like to hear your opinions on this, or any that you think is a new gen artist that's replaced an artist. You can get in touch via TikTok, YouTube, and our email, vnfcpodcast@outlook.com. That brings us to the end of the penultimate episode of Series 1. And we'll see you. You will see me or hear me in the final episode of Series 1, where we have 2 guest voice notes from 2 people we've not heard from yet, and 1 from my past self. So thank you very much for tuning in again. As always, ciao for now. You've been listening to Voice Notes from Connor, created, hosted and starring me, Connor Winterton, produced and edited by Evan Greaves. If you'd like to get in touch, you can message us on TikTok and YouTube, and if you'd like to get in touch via email, our email address is vnfcpodcast@outlook.com. You can send us any feedback, any thoughts on the episodes, as well as your own voice notes that might make it into future episodes or future series. So that was vnfcpodcast@outlook.com. Thank you very much.